Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to show you my Masdevallia. Some of these are new and some of these have been with me for a year now. I guess we'll start at the top. So back here we have my Masdevallia floribunda, and I think this is one of the more warm tolerant, and I say tolerant, I don't mean that they like the heat, not that I know of. But this one grew quite a lot of leaves after I almost killed it because I gave it root rot. I didn't know how to grow these species Masdevallia. I don't own many Masdevallia species anymore because they are too finicky for me, even in San Francisco. I have 70 degrees, 68% humidity just with my window open. And I don't really understand them. So this one has bloomed before. It recovered from having like no roots. So I think next year it will have a nice bloom again. This one on the left is obviously not an orchid. It is my sundew. I needed to eat all the flies and gnats that come with growing orchids that require more moisture, or at least they like to stay somewhat damp, not wet all the time. I do let them dry out, to be honest, because yeah, I don't stick to what I read online. I just know that if I don't let them dry out, they do die on me. So that's been my experience. So you should always experiment when you get your orchids. So this one is from Ecuagenera. I think that's how you say it, or Ecuagenera, but that sounds kind of wrong. This is imported from Ecuador. It is, what's the name? Veticiana? I don't know what the name is, but the flower is so majestic looking. It was on my wish list of Masdevallia. So that's been recovering from the import. It had some yellow leaves. Some of the leaves have spotting, but over time I realized that Masdevallia kind of all do that. They always have a problem. As long as it doesn't die, and as long as it's still growing leaves, it is totally fine. They are not going to stay perfect. At least not in my house. I have this one in a 4-inch net pot with moss only. I have it elevated on the takeout container that I use to water it. So it can drip the water back down and also have air going throughout the pot and the roots. This one was recently acquired in February at the Orchid Expo in San Francisco from Dexter Hodes. This is his hybrid. And as you can see here, I was a little experimental. I saw that this hybrid had really nice thick roots, and I didn't have any more net pots at the time, so I kind of just used this regular orchid pot, burned some holes. I don't recommend you do that. It's quite toxic to inhale those plastic fumes, but it's already been done. I put it in with some bark to see how it does, and it's doing okay actually. The roots look like they're desiccated, but they're really not. It's still green inside, and I know this because I accidentally scraped one of the roots. So yeah, as long as it's growing, you don't really have to freak out about the roots. The one back there is also a hybrid from Dexter Hodes. I don't remember the names, they're just hybrids, and one is going to be pink and one's going to be red. You might notice that I cut off some leaves because they were just too big and heavy and knocking my pot over, and you're not supposed to cut the leaves off when they're cuttings and still adjusting in your home. But I made an executive decision, just like 5 leaves here in this one pot, that's enough leaves to sustain itself. So I cut off 2, and back there all these 4 leaves are new. This one on the left is what it came with, and I had recently cut off 2 of the larger leaves because it was just getting in the way. And Aesthetically, I didn't like how it was just sprawled out, and it's fine because it has 4 new leaves growing. The one back here is Masdevallia Masdevallia Jelly Belly. It is a very bright orange, medium-sized orchid from Orchids by Hauserman. I might make a video on vendors at some point and my experiences with them, but for the time being, I won't talk about that. That'll be another video. And then this one is Masdevallia Morning Glory. It also came from Orchids by Hauserman. It came with like 6 leaves and it just been growing like crazy, and absolutely a great growing hybrid. And as you can see, we have a flower. This flower was the freakiest Cheeto looking Gates of Hell flower I've ever seen in my life. It was not red. I mean, it was red, but now it's become kind of magenta with orange legs and tails, whatever you call them. But as you can see, my shelves are not high enough or tall enough for these orchids. So every time they flower, I actually have to poke the flower through the shelf so they can grow upwards. And then I eventually take them to my bedroom so they can kind of showcase themselves. Because once they flower, I don't really worry about like changing the environment a bit. Like I just kind of, I put them in a room for about a few weeks and then I take them back here once the flower dies off. Masdevallia don't really stay in bloom that long. They're not like Phalaenopsis, but the wait for something this unique is worth it. I think I'll stop there for now for Masdevallia. These are the most finicky orchids I have in my home. And these are just random pots I used to water. I just didn't clean up before I filmed this video. Yeah. See everyone next time.